Well, hello, hello, beautiful ones. Welcome back to In the Company of Witches. We're about to find out. We found out something that Nora, she's not such a bad witch like everybody thinks she is. So let's move on to chapter 32. Here we go. Chapter 32. Thanks a lot, I grumbled. Nora smiled at me prettily. The fire crackled and spit in the hearth as my aunt studied me. Suddenly, I felt like I was 8 years old again. She's right, Izzy said. Your actions tonight were beyond reckless, and now we have quite the mess to clean up, don't we? Nora waved a hand in the air. I was thinking we could use a memory spell to erase the last part of the evening from people's minds. She dropped the hand to cover her face. Or, why don't we just erase the entire thing? I don't think we accomplished much by way of making me a paragon of citizenry. Spell everyone in attendance? Are you mad? Izzy clutched her forehead. That's far too complicated. The loose ends would be horrific. No, I was thinking we could send in a news alert to the town paper stating the tremor was real, but there's no danger. The alerts must all be electronic these days, but there has to be a spell for that. Oh, or we could just cause a real earthquake to cover up for Brynn's little shake-up, Nora said. That could be fun. Are you even trying to help right now? As my aunts continued to discuss all the ways they could go about cleaning up the mess I had made, the reality of what I had done settled in. What I had been what had I been thinking challenging Liz like that? Or accusing Rip without evidence? And then there was everything I had been keeping from my aunts. It wasn't as though I hadn't had warning my magic was out of control. But I lied to them about it repeatedly. I had lied to myself. I am so sorry. What's that, darling? Izzy asked, looking over at me. I hadn't even realized I had said the words out loud, but they were worth repeating. I'm sorry. She waited for me to go on. You're right. I put us all in danger tonight. I felt my cheeks burn as I met her eye and then Nora's. Actually, you've both been right about a lot of things. I love how this is going so far, Nora said with a happy shrug. And I know I need to explain, but I can't. Not really. The way I lost control tonight is inexcusable. I picked at my fingers. There have been a few other instances where my magic has gotten away from me, but I swear to both of you I didn't know, not for sure. My connection to my magic, it doesn't feel the way it used to. Izzy stepped toward me, but I put a hand up to stop her. I should have told you both everything, but I was afraid. I met Nora's eyes. I know you don't support my decision to give up magic, and truthfully, I am questioning whether it's what I want. I took a shaky breath. I wasn't sure if I was explaining any of this properly, but it was too late to stop. But it hurts. Practicing magic hurts. And I know what it is you want me to do to try to fix things, but I don't think I'm strong enough. I could barely speak past the tightness in my throat. I don't think I'll ever be strong enough to have Adam's funeral. Brynn? Nora began, but I waved her off. I thought I could help find out what really happened to Constance without using my powers, but I messed everything up tonight, and now things are even worse than they ever were before. I jumped as loud I jumped as a loud knock ripped through the parlor. Who could that be this hour? Izzy asked. She hurried over to the door and then swung it open. On the other side stood a man in a suit, with two officers in uniform behind him. Uh-oh. Isabel Warren? Evanora Warren. We'd like you to come with us. Oh no. It had all happened so fast. The police hadn't arrested my aunts, but they did take them in for questioning. Beatty apparently had found a lawyer who was already waiting for them at the station. And no, the police did not want me coming along. But they did recommend I keep myself available for questioning at a later date. In a minute, they were gone. and it was my fault. It couldn't have been a coincidence. The police had showed up at the B&B after the town hall. People were upset. They would be under pressure to do something, to act. Well, they weren't the only ones. If I had time figuring out what to do, if I had time, figuring out what to do wouldn't have been a problem. I would spend days, weeks, months pondering the perfect spell to help my aunts. I would read every grimoire, weigh all my options, find the perfect bit of magic to use in the situation. But I didn't have the luxury of time. I needed to do something now. Brynn? I heard the voice without registering it. My thoughts were swirling. Brynn! Gideon? I didn't have time to talk. The time for talking was over. I needed to find who killed Constance Graves, and I no longer cared how I did it. I raced into the kitchen, frantically opening and closing cupboards, grabbing everything I thought I might need. Many tools and ingredients were standard. A copper pot, a measuring cup, a long wooden spoon. Wooden spoons were always better than for the mixing. The prune juice that was still in the fridge. That would work nicely. And Constance's comb. I couldn't forget that. Brynn, I can hear you down there. I need to know what you're planning. We don't want to do anything rash. I didn't answer. Izzy was right. If Gideon had something to say, he could come down and say it. Now, what else did I need? Grimoires. I raced to the library next. I knew just the one I needed. Where was it? Third or fourth shelf, if I wasn't mistaken. I should have I shouldn't have to remind you that you haven't practiced magic for quite some time now. I nodded but said nothing, just ran my fingers over the leather backings of the spell books. And I know you're upset. I wasn't that upset. Doing nothing would make me upset. Actually, I felt pretty good. I was finally putting my own selfish needs aside. But we should talk about any spell you might be planning. Aha, there it was. I pulled the heavy book from the shelf and ran back to the kitchen. This would get me the answers I needed. The voice from the attic droned on. Yes, we all have been hoping you would take up magic again. Exactly, I didn't know. Exactly, I didn't know what my uncle was complaining about. I laid a tablecloth on the counter and started pulling all that I had collected on top of it. But we did not mean for you to take it back up like this. Not when you're upset. Not when your magic is upset. And especially not alone. Do you want to come down and help me? As soon as I said the words, I regretted them. Silence followed. I'm sorry, Gideon. I shouldn't have said that, but I am doing this. I wrapped up the tablecloth and slung it over my shoulder. Please, let's talk about this. Your magic will not respond the way it used to. It's like calling up a friend after years of not speaking and asking for a loan. Your magic may have feelings about this. Well, if that's the case, I said, heading for the French doors that led to the backyard, you'd better wish me luck, because this witch was about to do some serious magic.